All right, let's dive into one of the most famous experiments in all of psychology, the Marshmallow Test. Now, it sounds simple. It's just kids, candy, and a choice. But what they discovered revealed this completely counterintuitive secret about willpower that could honestly change the way you think about your own goals.
So, what this whole thing boils down to is a puzzle that we all face, right? It's that classic battle between what you want right now versus what you want most.
And this is the million-dollar question, isn't it? How do we actually resist temptation to get to a bigger, better goal down the road? Is it just about being tough? Well, back in the early 70s, a team at Stanford University came up with a really simple test involving preschoolers to try and figure that out.
Okay, so picture this. A little kid is sitting in a room, and right in front of them is a marshmallow. They're told, you can eat this one marshmallow right now, or if you can just wait 15 minutes until I get back, you'll get 2. The choice sounds simple, but for a little kid, staring at a marshmallow for 15 minutes, that is an eternity.
So before we get to what actually happened, what do you think the best strategy would be? What would you tell the kid to do to help them wait? Well, at the time, the answer seems totally obvious.
I mean, it makes perfect sense, right? If you want to wait for the bigger reward, you should focus on it. Keep your eyes on the prize. Remind yourself how awesome those 2 marshmallows are going to be. That should be the best motivation, shouldn't it?
And that's exactly what the scientists thought was going to happen. They fully expected that the kids who stared at the treats, who really focused on them, would be the ones who could hold out the longest. It just seems so logical. But what they found was, well, it was a total shock.
Because this is where the whole story gets turned completely on its head. The results came in, and the real secret to success wasn't at all what anyone thought it would be.
This quote from the actual paper says it all. The findings weren't just a little bit different, they were the exact opposite of what they predicted. The strategy that everyone assumed was the key to success was actually the worst possible thing you could do.
So get this. The kids who successfully waited for that second marshmallow weren't the ones staring temptation in the face. No, they were the ones who managed to turn their attention away from the treats. Real willpower, it turns out, wasn't about fighting temptation. It was about pretending it wasn't even there. And when you look at the hard data, it is just wild. When the kids had nothing to do but look at the marshmallow, they lasted, on average, less than 1 minute. But when they were given a toy to play with, their wait time shot up to almost 9 minutes. And even crazier, when they were just told to think about fun things, they lasted over 12 minutes. The power of distraction is absolutely huge. So this discovery was a game changer. Just thinking about something else was incredibly powerful. And that led the researchers to the next logical question. If you're going to distract yourself with your thoughts, does it actually matter what you think about?
So in their second experiment, they tested this directly. They gave different groups of kids really specific instructions on what to think about while they were waiting to see if some thoughts were more powerful distractions than others.
And the results were so interesting. Telling kids to think about fun things was, once again, a fantastic strategy. But, and this is the key part, telling them to think about sad things was just as unhelpful as telling them to focus on the marshmallows. Both of those strategies led to the kids caving almost right away.
Just look at that number. Over 13 minutes, on average, for the group that was simply told to think fun thoughts. This really confirmed it. Positive, self-generated distraction is a kind of superpower for self-control.
Okay, so let's get to the final piece of the puzzle here. So far, the marshmallow has always been sitting there in plain sight. But what happens if you remove the visual temptation? Does that change the mental game?
So in experiment 3, the researchers hid the treats. Now the temptation was purely mental. The big question was, could simply thinking about the hidden rewards still destroy a kid's willpower? The battle had moved completely inside their own heads.
And the results here are absolutely crystal clear. Look at that first bar. Even with the treats completely hidden, the kids who were told to think about them still caved in less than a minute. Compare that to the other kids, waiting almost 13 minutes, sometimes even longer. This proves it. Out of sight, out of mind only works if you actually let it stay out of your mind.
You know, one of the best parts of reading the study is seeing what the researchers observed the kids doing. They came up with these brilliant ways to distract themselves all on their own. They'd sing quiet songs, hide their heads in their arms, make up games. One kid was so successful at calming herself down that she actually fell asleep. So, after all of this, what does it all mean? What is the real secret to self-control that this research finally unlocked? Here it is. Real effective self-control isn't about gritting your teeth and having some kind of iron will. It's a skill.
It's the ability to strategically shift your attention away from the thing that's frustrating you and onto something else, anything else.
This is the big conclusion from the paper itself. The key to being able to wait is using these mental tricks, these avoidance mechanisms, to make the waiting period less painful. You suppress the frustrating thoughts and fill your mind with something better. The paper puts it perfectly. The best way to deal with temptation isn't to fight it head-on. It's to just cast it out of your attention entirely. You put it behind you, physically and mentally, so it just doesn't have any power over you anymore.
And that leaves us with one final thought. This was never really just about kids and marshmallows. It's about any long-term goal you might have. So instead of focusing on the pain of the diet or the difficulty of the project, what if you just got better at strategic distraction? What temptation in your life could you finally master simply by choosing to ignore it?